Hey team, Cindy Glenn here. We have our Tuesday team call. It's November 22nd. Thanksgiving week, yay, super exciting. And Christy is going to start us off with something to be grateful about.
I don't know if it's something to be grateful about or not, but I was just thinking about this, and studies show that people who are grateful, they sleep better, they get more hours of sleep each night, spend less time awake, before bed, and just they feel refreshed when they wake up, and they just generally have a better life because their spirit's in a constant state of gratefulness. And so I use this a lot with couples that I work with and with people who suffer from depression and things like that. And I just thought it would be a good thing because I know that I need it for our team. So I kind of wanted to challenge everyone to do this gratitude journal. And you have to do it for the next month, so until Christmas, and whenever our Christmas call is, which I think we'll figure out. But gratitude, it strengthens relationships. It makes us feel closer to our friends and to our romantic partners. And when we feel gratitude and we express it to each other every day, we become more satisfied with our relationship. So I know when I hear from my friends and from my husband and from my family each day, that they're thankful for me or that they love me, obviously I feel more connected. So I'm challenging everyone on the team to keep a gratefulness journal. So you can just write it on a notebook piece of paper every single day when you wake up, something that you're grateful for, either about your partner or your family or your team. I would pick one of those and then write it down. And then at the Christmas call, whenever that may be, I'm guessing in December, I'm going to give this fancy blanket scarf to whoever completed it. And I'll do a drawing, I guess, if more than one person completed it. But that's my challenge. It's Thanksgiving. We should be grateful.
I love that. Oh, that's awesome. I love that, Christy.
I love it. I even keeping it as a note in your phone, that's what I've done in the past when I've done it with Cliff. And I won't cheat and use my phone.
I love it. That's a really good challenge. And it's definitely the right time of year that we need to be most grateful. And I think being grateful humbles us too, to just, I don't know, be appreciative of so much stuff. So, thank you for sharing that. That's awesome. I love the challenge. I was just looking to see if we have really any announcements. I guess we're underway with prep week for team groups this week. Keep in mind, guys, if you hit Success Club 5 and you're on our Team Spirit group, you will be getting I don't know if it's exactly a choice of a tank top or a t-shirt for the Core de Force, but you'll get a Core de Force apparel shirt of some sort. So that's really exciting, and they look pretty awesome. I don't know. There's something that's like totally BA about the whole Core de Force thing. Like, it just is. So that's probably the only really big announcement. Definitely listen to the Monday morning wake up call from this week if you guys have not listened to that. It's on really creating that team culture and whatnot. And that's obviously what this whole month has really been about, is about that team spirit and embracing it. And that's what we're hoping as leaders. We're hoping you guys are really embracing and feeling that team spirit and the acknowledgement, because we appreciate you guys so much, because we wouldn't be in the position we are in without our team, and that's you guys. So thank you for being here. All right, on that note, if everybody's cool, I'm going to dive right into our topic for tonight, and that's assessing your challengers. I'm going to do a share screen with you guys. Okay, let me get back to the beginning of my PowerPoint. Can everybody see that okay? Thumbs up? All right. I need to just downsize this side thing here. Okay. All right, so topic for tonight is assessing your challenger. So the topic kind of stemmed from, if you guys listen to Chalene Johnson's podcast, Build Your Tribe, this is where it stemmed from. A lot of this information I got from her, and then just reading through a ton of info and just research stuff today. And yesterday, once I Actually, Christy was the kind one that suggested this as a topic because I was like, it's a really good topic and we should really discuss this. But essentially, that's where they came from. If you guys do not listen to her podcast yet, I really suggest it. It's so, so good. So we're going to dive right in. This is going to be short, sweet, to the point. Maybe if it lets me click through. Well, it's like telling me I can't. Oh, there it goes. All right. So I guess the first question is, are you currently assessing your challenger? So like when somebody is reaching out to you, or maybe you're reaching out to them, what are you doing in your dialogue to assess them and their needs? Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to do it this way. Sorry, it's not letting me just click through. So what questions are you asking your challengers? What do you feel like is important to know prior to setting them up with a program? This is something I feel like is very important. And are you guys recommending programs to your challengers? This is something that I did not do initially. I kind of thought, oh, well, they'll know what program they want, or I would send them information on like 3 different programs. I was like, oh, I bet they would like PiYo or 21 Day Fix, or probably 21 Day Fix Extreme were probably like my 3 main ones because they were programs that I had done that I just kind of thought were well-rounded. So it was really easy for me to be like, hey, why don't you check out these and let me know what you think? And I think we've all learned that we don't say, let me know what you think, and here's 3 programs to look at. Sometimes when we give them too many options, you guys, it confuses them more and makes them even more hesitant. Sometimes people just want to be told like what you feel like is the best thing for them. So if you're not recommending programs to your challengers, I definitely would say you should probably start doing that. And do you know your challengers' limitations? Do you know their abilities? Do they have any injuries? Those are all really important things to know. And the biggest thing, you guys, is slow down. You must ask your questions. Now, this is no different, and I definitely take approach just as a nurse. And this isn't just for healthcare fields. There's a ton of different other fields that, you're assessing your clients and different things like that. But as a nurse, every time I go onto a shift, I'm assessing my patient because they can change from one day to the next and whatnot. And you have to slow down and ask those questions. And it's really easy to kind of just get into the flow of things and make it easy, especially if you've been like maybe selling a lot of challenge packs or you've had this really awesome month. It's really easy just to like flow into the next thing. And you have to slow down and make sure you're actually assessing your challenger. And I am seeing now that my battery is dying on my computer, which it did not say once before. Okay, hopefully it doesn't die on me, you guys. I might have to go find my charger because I don't see it around here. Oh, never mind. Found it. Sorry. You'd think I would have been prepared for this. Okay. Back on. All right. So what questions are important questions to ask? Now, this list of questions, you guys, these are the questions that I typically ask every single person. Why is their health a priority now? You really want to get a good feel for what all of a sudden is making the change. And this is partially about diving deep into what is their why. And it's really important for us to know the whys for our challengers. And who would you be getting healthy for? Is this for them? Are they feeling pressured from their family? Are they just realizing that they want to be around long enough to see their grandkids and whatnot? And then when you look in the mirror, what do you see? How do you feel? Does it affect your relationship? What do you hope to achieve in their challenge? I like to ask them specifically fitness and health goals. I really like to have an idea of, okay, fitness-wise, where do they want to be at? And health-wise, are they really truly just going, I just want to do a fad diet? Or are they really embracing that this is a lifestyle change and that's what we're promoting? I always ask what methods they've tried, what's worked, what is not, how long have they been trying to change their body, if nutrition is that weakness or if it's a strength. And you'd be amazed, you guys, how many people are struggling to lose weight, or maybe they're even struggling to gain weight. And you look at their nutrition and obviously, I think the majority of us know that the average challenger and the average person in America is not going to have great nutrition. Usually that's the area that really needs to be improved upon. But I've had multiple challengers that have been eating clean for years. They've maybe followed more of a paleo diet or something along those lines, that they're still seeing no results. And you really have to dig into that, because sometimes even with those other more clean diets, so to speak, it's really easy for us to be like, hey, well, I'm going to eat a ton of carbs, and they might be eating a lot of fruit, but not getting their veggies in and whatnot. So definitely talk to them about their nutrition and kind of what a typical day even looks like for them. Also, this last part on here about binging and whatnot, you'd be amazed how many of our challengers, you guys, have had eating disorders in the past. And you really have to be careful with those people, because we really want to embrace the lifestyle change. And sometimes they can go to an extreme opposite. And we have to acknowledge that and be willing to pay attention to them going the opposite way, and sometimes going the extreme where maybe they've had anorexia in the past. They go to a clean eating diet, everything's looking good, but they want to lose more, and they start getting back into old habits. So things that we just have to pay attention to. Ask them about their injuries, what kind of fitness they enjoy, what they dislike, how they feel when they look in the mirror. And then I always add this like last little part here about how I know this is a lot of information, but they're going to get a real recommendation from me. And honestly, I need to know most of this stuff to really give them a good recommendation. So this is right now, you guys, if you go into like our scripts and whatnot, and that first time challenger guide that we've given you, this is part of my script. So if you want to copy and paste it right from there, you sure can. Now, keep in mind, everybody's not created the same, and we need to take into account people's body type. And this is was my big aha moment this last week. So there's 3 main body types. You have your ectomorph, your mesomorph, and your endomorph. Or I'm just going to talk a little bit about each different type of body. But first off, so why is it important to know their body type? So you've already asked all these questions. You've kind of gotten to know them a little bit. But more than anything, you really want to help them attain the results that they're wanting. And you have to figure out what exactly it is that they're wanting, figure out what their goals are. And it's important to know their body type. So as you can see on here, when they're frustrated about not getting the results that, say, their girlfriend had, or maybe they saw your results and they were like, I just don't get it. Like, this works so good for you. You lost 15 pounds in 1 month. Why am I I'm doing everything right. Why is it not working? If they're frustrated, a lot of times it comes back to their body type, you guys. And when they say that, I don't know if you guys have had a challenger. I've only had a couple challengers that have been like, oh my gosh, I want to look like so-and-so. And you're going, there's no way you'll ever look like that person. We have to be able to be honest with those people. And we have to be able to be honest and say, you know what, your body type is this. You're probably not going to ever be, I can't even really give you an example right now. But if you have somebody that, say, is very much like a gymnast type build, that's very muscular, shorter, they're never going to have the body type of the classic runway model, the very tall, very, very thin, no muscle essentially to them. They're probably never going to have that body type. So we have to be really honest with them. And this also helps when it makes it so you're not stumped, and it helps so you actually have a reason when your challenger is struggling and they're not seeing the results, that you can actually go back and go, gosh, okay, you know what? I think this is the problem. And it kind of gives you a standing point of what you can suggest to help them get to the results that they're wanting to get to. All right, so a little bit on each body type. So an ectomorph, this is your classic quote unquote runway model, we'll say. So they have difficulty gaining weight. They're usually very, very thin. They have fast metabolism. They're typically flat chested because they typically do not have very much body fat on them at all. They have more of a small bone structure, but they're often very tall people. Doesn't always have to be somebody that's tall, but this is like I said, the stereotyped classic runway model type. An endomorph, this person has a little bit more curves to them. They have to work really hard to lose weight. These people tend to naturally gain weight easily. They usually have those nice curves. It settles a little bit more towards the lower regions, maybe more that pear shape that we kind of think of. When they do lose weight, it is slow. They have a slower metabolic rate, tend to have shorter limbs. So typically this is a shorter person. And then our third type is our mesomorph. Now, mesomorph is somebody that is typically more of like your athletic build. They build muscle quickly. They typically, when they build muscle, it's very lean, and they are building muscle kind of on top of muscle, so to speak. They're thick-skinned. They have more of that upright posture, more rectangular shaped, and they lose and gain weight really easily. So it's really easy for a mesomorph to have quick transformations in our groups. Oftentimes when we see these people that are, like having these like losing 15 pounds in like a month or in one challenge group, often they have the mesomorph body type where they're going to be able to do that quickly, and it's just natural for them versus other types of bodies. Okay, so how do you find out what body type your challenger is? And I bet you guys can all guess it. You ask questions. We ask tons of questions. So here's just a few examples of questions that you can ask them to get to know a little bit more about what their specific body types are, because obviously any of these types of bodies, it might not be natural for an ectomorph really to gain a ton of weight, but that doesn't mean that they can't gain it. So if you ask a question like, when is a time in your life that you were really happy with your body? How old were you? How would you describe it? Oftentimes you're going to hear from people that maybe it was in their early 20s, maybe before the college 15, set in or something along those lines. And you can get kind of a better idea of maybe what their natural body type was at that point. You can ask them if they tend to go up and down in weight easily. Are they ones that if they jumped on a fad diet, are they really big yo-yoers? Like, can they jump on a fad diet, lose that weight quickly, but if as soon as they stop, they're gaining it right back? Do they tend to gain muscle easily? Some people will know this. Some people will tell you more about maybe they were athletes in high school or whenever, and they were like, oh yeah, I was really athletic back then, and it was really easy for them to gain muscle. They were able to get in shape really quickly. That's definitely more that mesomorph body type. Ask them how tall they are and what their current weight is. Don't be afraid to ask those questions, you guys. That's why they're usually turning to us. Typically it's because of weight. So sometimes just being very upfront and asking those questions directly just gets it over with. And they can just tell you, okay, and you can have a better idea of what direction they're wanting to go towards for their goals. And keep in mind, you guys, it is possible for a challenger to be a mix of both body types. For myself personally, I'm kind of a mix of a mesomorph and an ectomorph. My body is naturally more lean, but I do tend to gain muscle a little bit more quickly. And you can be a combination of the two. You're typically, and from what I've been reading, you're typically not going to see people be a combination of all three, but it is common for people to be a combination of two. And then always go back to their goals and ask questions about their goals. Like, are they specifically just wanting to tone up? Are they really hoping that they get muscle definition? Are you dealing with a challenger that's like, I want rock solid abs and I want that six pack? Is that what we're looking at? Are they hoping to just lose weight? Are they hoping to really just gain the weight? Because some of our challengers are actually looking to gain the weight, you guys, and that would be like the typical ectomorph that, maybe they've been long and lanky most of their life, and they're like, I really would just like some muscle definition. Okay, and then just be sure you're talking to your challengers about their body type and how they can reach their goals. Once you've really assessed them and really been open and honest about if their goals are realistic ones, then you can start making better suggestions. So here are some examples, and these are just body types and their goals, and then what would be recommended and programs that we would recommend to them. So say you have an ectomorph, they want to gain muscle. So for an ectomorph, you guys, it's really hard for them to gain muscle. So when they do want to, they have to lift very heavy. They have to do fewer reps. Typically, they're not going to be doing much cardio at all. The programs like Hammer and Chisel and Body Beast are going to be good ones to suggest for them. And I think we all naturally shy away from a program like Body Beast when we're suggesting to females, because sometimes that really scares them. But if you have somebody of this body type and they're like, I really want to gain muscles, Body Beast would probably be a really good one for them to try. If you have an endomorph, and the endomorph is somebody that tends to carry a little bit more weight, have a harder time losing the weight, they have a big weight loss goal, they're going to need a combination of cardio and muscle building, but they're going to need a little bit more cardio. And they're going to have to lift medium to heavy. They're not going to need to do the light weights. They kind of need to be building that muscle in order to burn off the fat. But they also have to be having the cardio on top of that. So programs like T25, 22 hardcore size, Country Heat, Insanity, those are all really good ones. And then also keep in mind, we're going to be gauging now, is this a beginner or is this somebody intermediate? Is this somebody that maybe has been working out for a while and they just need an extra push? And it just depends on how bad they want it. I know that sounds kind of weird, but there are people, you guys, that I think some of us look at a program like Insanity and we're like, that's a really tough program. We might not want to start a beginning person on Insanity, but there are some people out there that are like, yes, I want this, I need this, and they can do Insanity. We've seen it. We know those results from those people that you would look at them before and go, there's no way they can do Insanity, and they do it. So really gauge, the enthusiasm with your challenger as well. And this last one talks about just a mesomorph. They just want to tone up. This would be kind of maybe your classic person that's maybe a little bit more muscular, but they maybe have that mommy pooch after having kiddos and they want to just tone up. They're going to need the combination of the cardio and muscle building. They're going to need slightly more muscle building though, in comparison to like the endomorph that's going to need a little bit more cardio. They're going to be lifting medium-ish, light to medium, with kind of more reps. 21 Day Fix, 21 Day Fix Extreme, PiYo, these are all really, think about the programs that you think about long, lean muscle definition. That's where you're wanting to go with like a mesomorph that's just wanting to tone up. And then also, you guys, I want you to use your Coach Online Office. And I'm going to show you that right at the end. There's actually a really nice way to compare. So when you're interviewing your person, you can actually look through the programs and kind of decide like what's going to be best for them. All right. So as far as taking action, make a plan. Okay, guys. So if you guys have not started using scripts of some sort, if that's something totally new to you, definitely start making up your own script. So it is you speaking, being able to talk to people. And that being said, figure out the questions that you feel are really important to the interviewing process. And also keep in mind, anytime you're using a script, you always want to individualize to the exact challenger you're talking to, because sometimes you're going to already know this information. Maybe it's a friend, a ton of those questions already, so you don't have to answer them or ask them, So you don't want to ask them and then be like embarrassed, like, oh yeah, I guess I did know that you had that knee injury and whatever, like obviously use your judgment. And don't be afraid to ask questions. So sometimes we like get really, really hesitant. And we're afraid to ask like the questions about like, okay, well, what is your height and your weight and whatnot, especially if it's somebody that's kind of an acquaintance to us. You might just feel like, I don't want to make them uncomfortable. But if you come across with this with confidence and you're like, hey, this is me. Think of yourself as like, if you were the doctor assessing a patient that came in, you're going to be confident and you need to ask these questions in order to find out, or in order to diagnose, what this person needs. And don't be focused more on the sale than getting your challenger set up with the best program for them, which I know, you guys, I have been there the last night of the month and you're like, this person really needs to get this challenge pack. I really think this would be a good one for them. Don't dive into it as a sale. Keep in mind, our number one priority is making sure that our challengers are set up with the best program for them so they stick with this long term and they get the results that they want. So that is the end of my presentation. I'm going to stop share, and then I am going to show you guys I'm going to do another share screen in your Coach Online Office. So I'm going to just bring mine up here. If you go to your products tools kit, And then other products and training guides. You can do a view program comparison chart. And you can actually look at how it works, benefits, all fitness levels. You can look at the intermediate, the express. If you have somebody that, they're like, hey, I want that 6-pack abs, after you've assessed what kind of body type, here's a good comparison, dance, extreme results, and whatnot.
Are you guys able to see the pop-up?
Did it not come up? Were you guys able to see it at all?
I could see it.
Oh, weird. I couldn't.
Did it not show up for you, Kate?
Online office, but not the comparison chart, which is fine because I know it's.
That I didn't see.
Did it show up for the rest of you guys?
No, I didn't see that. You must have only shared your share. I think you have to share.
Oh, here, let me try it one more time.
Just share your desktop, yeah.
Okay, did that bring it up? Do you guys see like all these?
It's blank right now.
Anything coming up?
Maybe try one more time. It looks like it was like loading, but then decided to.
Do it. Anything now?
Are you sharing your desktop symbol or just that?
I'm sharing the actual comparison.
I would try just sharing your desktop.
My desktop?
It'll show up as a pop-up, yeah.
Okay, can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay, so you would go to your program comparison chart here that's under the sales and marketing. And then you can actually look and just compare the different ones. So if they're looking for dance, extreme results will probably be somebody that maybe is looking for a big weight loss change, ones that are more cardio fat burning specialty. And then you can just kind of do a quick comparison. And that's just kind of an extra little help you out guide. Okay, questions, you guys? Thoughts, takeaways?
I'm so glad you did this call. I learned so much. And I think the biggest thing was like the slow down part. I think when you really get into the thick of it and we're busy and we're trying to just like keep moving forward and having more conversations, I definitely fail at this. So I appreciate the reminder to just slow down. And I'm doing it afterwards, but it's like after they've already committed. So I appreciate that. I don't know.
I have definitely recommended, like, I have one challenger right now that she's doing the 21-day fix and she's liking it. But in hindsight, after I asked her more questions and just comments that she made after she already made her purchase, I'm like, I really should have set you up with PiYo. PiYo would have definitely been better for you. For her, so much more mentally versus like the actual assessment of her body, because she's already doing so much that's already, taking that need that she really didn't need to add in a 21-day fix. She needs to add in more of that mental clarity that you'd get from PiYo. Not that you can't get it from 21-day fix, but I think she was looking for more of that therapeutic thing, which was my fault. It really, truly was. I honestly was too quick for a sale is what it was. It really was. And I guess I'm human and she's enjoying it, but at the same time I'm going, I really wish I would have set her up with something else.
Yeah. I think that's good. And I think I told you, but yesterday I had a gal I talked to and we were having a great conversation, and she's a wellness coach on her own, not affiliated with any type of program or company or anything. And she was talking about food as medicine and how she really needs to get back. And I didn't ask her any questions about herself. Like, she had approached me and I talked about the ultimate reset, and I was like, oh my gosh, you would love the ultimate reset. Like, this is the first person I found that I'm like, yes, like this would be great for you. And then she's like, can I do this while I'm breastfeeding? And I'm like, no, because now I've done all of this work, like throwing this out there for her, genuinely think it would be great. And if I would have known that, I would have never gone there. I would have gone to Shakeology, PiYo, so this is helpful. Thank you, Sindel. And I know more about my own body now.
That's what I took away from it. I was like, I did not realize I was a combination of two, because I definitely can gain weight and lose weight quickly, but I tend to gain muscle too. And
I've been noticing that too. I'm gaining like muscle, and then all of a sudden I just drop like 5 or 10 pounds.
It's crazy.
Before I used to just drop and then.
More of a gradual thing for you.
Mhm.
Mhm. Any?
I'll go. I think the big takeaway is like questions. Like I think, and I was the same way when I first started out. I didn't ask as many questions. But like Sindel said, like if you go to your doctor, you'd ask that, right? And I think like just piggybacking off of what Christy shared and Sindel, people take you more seriously. Like you may be afraid to ask those questions, but they're going to take you more seriously. Like you actually care about getting them the right thing. So that I think that's an awesome takeaway. I had a question about one of the which one was it? One of the types, the mesomorph, thick skin. So what does that mean?
I think they just tend to be more athletically built, which the blood supply is just different.
Interesting.
You tend to be more muscular, just all around. And I only know this because starting IVs on somebody that's more muscular is much more difficult than starting them on somebody that has more adipose tissue. So I don't know what causes that exactly, but when I read it, I was like, oh, that totally makes sense, because my mom's I'm starting IVs on, I'm like, they have tougher skin when they're more athletic. So I don't know the exact physiology of it.
I was
Not like an important question. I just was curious.
It is important though, because I was going to say something about that, and I've talked about it before with my challengers, but never really thought about it in this way. But I had an appointment with my doctor when I had, right before I got pregnant with Colby. I had my yearly appointment. And we were talking about weight and BMI and like how the BMI is so off because, like, for instance, people don't look at me and think I weigh what I weigh. Like if I told you what I weigh, you'd probably fall over backwards in your chair because my body doesn't carry weight in that way because I carry a lot of muscle and have that thicker skin. And so she's like, your BMI really doesn't measure anything for you because your body's carrying. And so like my son Corbin, who is tall and slim, weighs 1,000,000 pounds. And he's so heavy because that's just his this is a new way of thinking about it, but it is important for your challengers who are like, oh my gosh, I weigh this and I want to get down to this. Like you could be a size 6 and may never get down to that weight, So inches being more important than.
So important.
Sorry.
No, that's a great takeaway, because we definitely need to focus more on how they're feeling and how they feel like they look and their confidence versus that number on the scale. Because seriously, you guys, there's that ideal weight that they look down at the scale when they were like 16 and was like, this is my perfect weight. And I would never get back to what I was at 16. Like that, I don't think it's ever possible. And if I did, I'd be really sickly, and I don't want that. So you just never know. Any other questions, takeaways, guys? I so appreciate you guys jumping on. I know it's a busy week for everybody with Thanksgiving coming up. To record real quick.